Hey everybody, welcome to this video, which is sort of the basics of learning with programming with Swift. I'm not here to make you an expert in Swift, but through these next few videos, you should learn the basic core concepts of programming in the Swift programming language, which should give you enough of an understanding so that way you can go and teach yourself more. Okay, so that's sort of the goal here. Now, in a programming language, you're just basically giving instructions to the computer. And a good way to practice and get started and familiar with it with minimal having to download stuff and whatnot is to use this website REPL.it. You can quickly spin up um, an environment to practice any programming language, in this case Swift. So you just go to REPL.it, open up an account, and create a Swift REPL. Now, the first thing you should always learn in any programming language is how to print stuff to the console, which is this thing over here. And in this case, it's similar to Python in the sense that it's just the word print. So our obligatory hello world. Okay, and when you run that, you'll see that it prints hello world onto the screen. So you've done it, you've written a program. Okay, now the next step is to figure out how to get more information in there. And you can print anything in there. You can print a number in there, so there's different types of variables. So hello world here is a string. You can tell by the quotation marks that it's a sequence of words. But there are also integers, just a number, so a whole number. There are doubles and floats, which are decimal numbers. And there are booleans, which are true and false. So literally the keyword true. So notice I don't have to put in quotation marks because it's a boolean, so it's its own value. So if I run those, it should just print those. So there, it prints out the values. That's not too exciting. So I could also print out expressions. That way it prints me out something interesting. So instead of printing out hello world, I could be like, what is the result of 5 plus 5 divided by 2? Actually, let's do it this way. 5 by 5 divided by 2. But we would like 5 plus 5 to be on first, or order of operations. We'll put parentheses around 5 plus 5. So it'll do 5 plus 5, which is 10, and then divide that by 2, which should equal 5. So let's see if that's the result we get. And you get 5, so it works. So you can run complex mathematical equations in your print function and get back a result. But what if you don't know what you want to add it by? Okay, well, what I can do is this. I can make variables. Just want to push that down a couple lines. And the way you declare a variable is you can either use a keyword var. So this is my variable. And then you just say it equals a value. Okay, and then the programming language will know what kind of type it is, whether it's an integer, a double, a string, based on what value you assign to it. Now, what if I don't want to assign it a value? I could just tell it ahead of time, say, hey, just so you know, this is going to be a int, an integer, and it's only, and then that's that, and move on. And then I can declare in the next line. You know, if, me personally, I'll always just assign it about at least a null value, so that way it just knows what it is. So if I was going to be an integer and I don't know what it is yet, I'll do equals 0. So that way it knows it's an integer. But there are reasons you may not want to do that. But so you're aware, you can annotate the type if you're not going to declare a value right away. But I generally always do. So we'll say variable equals 5. You could also do let my constant. It doesn't have to be. You can name the variable whatever you want. We'll call it my const 5. The big difference is this is going to be a bit of a mess with your mind a little bit if you're coming from JavaScript. Var, straightforward enough, equals a new variable. Let actually means a constant. So if you declare a variable using the word let in Swift, you will not be able to change that variable after the fact. It's a constant value. And generally, it's a good practice to try to declare as many of your variables as constants as possible. Like if you know you're not going to change the variable, keep it constant. It just means there's one more thing that won't get changed and mess up your code later. So just so you're aware of the two ways. But now you know that, great. But now what I could do is instead of saying 5 plus 5 equals 5, I can do 5 plus my var divided by 2 equals, we'll see what it equals. It's still 5 because it's still 5 plus 5. But if I change it to 6, actually let's change it to 7. Let's see what happens. It equals 6 now. So what it's doing is that anytime I put my variable in an expression, it just goes back and says, okay, what do I have stored in that variable? And let me just replace it with that and run the expression. Pretty cool. Okay, now that we got that, let's talk about conditionals. So conditionals just means like if statements, which means if this is true, this happens. The way this works is that you'll put if, and then you'll put an expression. Let's say like is 5 greater than 5? Now, if it's true, it'll run whatever code is in these curly brackets. So what we're going to do is we're going to print it's true if it's true. Now then you can put the word else, or you can do else if and then put a new expression if you want to test something else if it's false. But if I just want to run a different code if it's false, I can do an else, put in another set of curly brackets, which will run if it's false. It's true, it's false. Let me put some quotation marks around that. Cool, it's false. Cool. Now, and again, notice I don't have to put parentheses around the conditional expression, which is like Ruby if you've used Ruby before, which is nice. Just one less characters to type. Print it's false. Now, if anything after these curly brackets, this is back into my normal flow of programming. So if I put something over here, print, this happens anyways. So this is always going to happen once the if statement is evaluated. Let's see what happens. So is 5 greater than 5? Well, last I checked, it isn't. So it should print it's false. But then it's done with the if, so then it continues on. We'll print this happens anyways. Conditions always evaluates to false. Okay, so it's complaining because I gave it something that's always going to be false. But it does it anyway. So you'll notice, like, it warned me saying, hey, just so you know, this is a little funky. So, but we'll let it slide. Okay, again, because we're just practicing here. So first it prints out it's false because it's a false statement. And then it prints out this happens anyways because it's always going to print out after the if statement is done because it's not part of the if statement. Now, if I were to change this to 5 to 6 is greater than 5, then it's going to run it's true. And again, this happens anyways. And again, you don't have, it's not just greater than, you could do less than, you could do equals. Equals is 2 equal signs. So that means it's the 6 equal 5. I can do 6 is less than and equal than 5. 6 is greater than and equal than 5. I can do 6 is not 5. These are all valid expressions. And what if I wanted to evaluate multiple things? I could be like, is 6 not 5? And is 5 not 5? So what this means is that it's going to check both expressions. It's going to check is 6 not 5, which is true. And then it's going to check is 5 not 5 equal true, which is false. And then if both are true, so that means both of these need to be true, then it returns true. So in this case, it's going to run false. See, it's false. But if I change this to or, which is those two lines, it's going to say it's true because only one of them has to be true for the expression to return true. Okay, so that's how an if statement works. You evaluate a statement. If it's true, this happens. And if it's false, this happens. And you can put whatever code you want in there. but it only does it once. What if you want a certain code to repeat over and over again? That's where we get into loops. Okay, similar to Python, you don't have a traditional for loop in Swift. Instead, you have for in loops and while loops. So the way the while, so basically very similar to the if statement. You put while, meaning this is a loop, okay, and then you're gonna put your expression. Now, generally, the way you're gonna want to set this up is you want to declare an escape variable beforehand. So we'll say variable I equals 0. Okay, it's just so we have that. And then long as I is less than 5, repeat this loop. Okay, so then it would be basically here I would put print I'm looping. I am looping. Make those quotation marks just to play it safe. In JavaScript, doesn't really matter if it's single quotes or double quotes, but most programming languages do care. So we'll play with that. Okay, so this is what it should do, and then after each time we run this code, what we're going to do is we're going to take the I value and say it equals whatever I is currently plus 1. So that way it keeps adding 1 to itself until the loop doesn't run anymore. And see, it runs 5 times because the first time I is 0, then I is worth 1, then I is worth 2, then I is worth 3. Now if we want to just kind of show that in effect, let's print the variable I as well. It's part of the loop. So see, the first time 0, 0, 0, and then once it's 4, it adds 1, it's 5, and then this is no longer true. I is no longer less than 5, so it doesn't run the loop again. So that's, a way to loop, to do something over and over again, which is really useful in a lot of different contexts. You'll be doing a lot of loops when working with collections of data like arrays. The other loop is a for loop. The basic way you can think of a for loop for today's purposes is that you're iterating over some sort of collection of numbers. So you're saying for I in, let's see here, to keep it easy, what we can do is we can generate a range. A range is a way of just automatically setting up a range of numbers. And there's a special operator for that. And the way that works is we want to set up a range that starts with the number 1, and then 3 dots, and then ends with whatever number you want to end up with. So we say 7. Okay, so that's going to generate a range between 1 through 7. That way I don't have to type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then in that loop, we will just do this. I don't need to put the I plus because it's already generating a range, and it's just going to keep testing each range. So rate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The first time it loops, it's using the 1, I equals 1. The second time it does the loop, I equals 2. It keeps doing it until it runs out of numbers in the range. For I in expected, let's see here, where is the type go? Swift to start the body of the for each loop. So the typo was I had a space between in the range thing there. So you need to make sure that it's all tied together so that way it knows this is a range between 1 and 7. But then you run the loop and it loops. So it says I'm looping, I is 1, I is 2, I is 3, I is 4. So that's how all that works. So basically what we learned today is we learned about the different types of operators. Like you can, you can run expressions, you can do Boolean expressions of true and false. We learned how you can store a variable, and we learned how to do loops and conditional statements. So I'll see you guys in the next video where we'll learn functions and classes, and that'll give you a nice core in the language of Swift. See you guys there.